Hello, good morning, welcome. I am Samuel Trapp. This is International Flavor. You are listening to Damn Radio. I'm damn glad to have you. Let's see here. I suppose the biggest problems that we got these days are the world's ending. I don't know if you're aware of this, but the world is coming to an end, and this is horrifying. We're all going to die. We should all run around like Chicken Little even now and talk about the notable earthquakes taking over the planet this morning. 7.5, 23 kilometers southeast of Yumara, Venezuela. 7.5 at 15:05 Pacific time at the universal time coordinates of 22:05. That's a Greenwich mean for those of you. A major shallow earthquake, 10 kilometers down is all. That's depressing. So we got Venezuela, Japan, we got Northern California. You know, when, by the way, are we all going to die because Yellowstone erupts, one of the largest volcanoes on the planet that is overdue by about 100,000 years? So these are things to lay awake at night and think about as the lava rolls over you, baking you instantly to a crisp. 164 dead outside of Yumara, Venezuela. And I was just planning on going there on vacation. Jeez, how frustrating is that? Can't go there. 7.2 in. It occurred almost immediately before the 7.5 event, also in Venezuela. This one, 24 kilometers northeast of San Felipe. Just like minutes before, a whole minute before. So this is not good. Another one, 6.9 on the old scale of Richter. Wonder who that guy was. We should find pictures of him and throw stuff at him because he's stressing us out. 30 kilometers east-northeast of Kuji, Japan at 6.9 at probably a half an hour after the Venezuela strong offshore near coastal Japan event. So what does that mean? It means another one occurred in California. This was a 5.6, 11 kilometers north of Redwood Valley, California. That's a pretty area up there. Don't be Venezuela. Don't be earthquake Venezuela destroying our redwoods up there. That's a pretty spot. You know, you can go drive through the one tree. You can drive right through it. And it's very pretty. Redwoods are a very beautiful treat. And that one occurred yesterday, 8:10 a.m. Pacific time, and probably about 6-7 hours before the Venezuela. Northern California, Mendocino County, not San Francisco or L.A., but, you know, still a California quake. Another one, 4 on the scale of Richter, remaining seismically active in Papua New Guinea and Kokopo area. Another, several, get this, normal ring of fire, they call this normal ring of fire activity. Wonder if Johnny Cash is a spinning and a singing in his grave when they stole his music and called that the ring of fire. Peru, Mexico, Chile, Greece, Philippines, Indonesia, Alaska, Hawaii, and Oregon offshore. The Venezuela situation, of course, is the most serious of all of this stuff. Current reporting says Venezuela declared an emergency after the 7.2 foreshock and 7.5 main shock, with substantial casualties and damage reported around Caracas, La Guaira, and the Caribbean coast. Those casualty numbers, of course, are going to change through the day. They say like 164 or something like that, whatever I said a few minutes ago. California quake is Northern California near Redwood Valley. 5.6, enough to knock stuff off the shelf. So when I lived in California, I was going to the Defense Language Institute. First time, no, it was the second time out. with lived in a kind of a cool house. It was an apartment, really, and I was over. So it was an apartment building with like 4 apartments in it, and underneath, because we were pretty close to the water on the ocean, there was our house was on stilts, and so you parked underneath it like a carport. So there was a little garage area down below, and then your carport. And I was driving a '79 Chevy Blazer at the time, big old truck, and it was parked underneath so it was parked under the house. You'd walk upstairs to get up to your little apartment, and had a shower. Had 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Don't remember, but it had separate shower. So I wasn't in the master bath. I was getting ready to go to work in the morning, and I'd already done the run and crap like that, and. Excuse me. And I'm in the shower, and the shower had one of those glass doors, that is in the little track that, the cheap ass glass doors that are in the little crappy track. And all of a sudden it started, the thing starts rattling, it starts shaking and rattling. I'm what the, and I start yelling at my wife. It's like, look, if you're getting in the shower, get in. Quit screwing around. Let's get the show on the road, But no, that was only in my my greatest of dreams. And the fact is, I was experiencing an earthquake. She did come running in, and she's like, "Oh my God, the whole house is shaking, everything's going." And all I could think of is, here I stand there naked with bottle of shampoo, and all I could think of is, damn it, I'm gonna die naked in a shower, and I'm gonna be laying on top of my damn '79 Blazer in a tub, dead. That's gonna be great. So much for good ways to go, and that's all I could think. I was like, I'm dead. But it turns out that was merely the first one that I experienced. I experienced a couple other ones that the first time I had moved to California, the first time I lived in a place called Salinas, big city, a little ways away, and then the second time I lived in Seaside, and it was a really cool place, and I was, right on the ocean. It was great. And but both times I bicycled back and forth to work, and you kind of, when the very first time I was there was immediately after the one in San Francisco where the bridge collapsed, and there were sections of the bridge that fell in and collapsed on top of some other cars and whatnot, and that had just occurred. And so I've always been, it's like, geez, I'll never win the lottery, that'd be too much. But if I'm going to die in my bathtub on top of my '79 Blazer, that lottery I will win. If I'm swimming on the Great Barrier Reef, which I was, I will find a shark to chew my leg off. That'll be there. And of course, that occurred. Well, not my leg. I was able to avoid that, but was not entertained with the shark next door. That was not entertaining. So I'm a person who stresses about these type of things. I don't like it. And at any rate, the skeptical analysis of all this is, what's the doom? Here's the doom coming for you, right? Let's talk about Sam's doom saying. 3 continents had significant seismic activities yesterday, okay? In a tight window. Venezuela, major pair of shallow earthquakes. Japan, strong earthquake. California, shaking. Pacific Rim, active. The earth is like, here we go, sending us warnings. Somebody's ringing a bell. But then again, I suppose you could argue that earthquakes are common globally, daily. There's a cool USGS list. So I have 2 things on my phone, one that I got in Grand Cayman. I figured out there's a Shark Watch program. and you can you can download a program that'll help you make sure you don't get eaten by sharks. Of course, if you're looking at your phone and you're in the ocean, you're already dead. So that's not good. But you have a shark tracking by some, I don't remember what, sharktracker.org, I think it is. I don't remember. But the next one is the United States Geological Services, and they have a website where you can go out to their website and download an app that will tell you every time an earthquake. So when Yellowstone does go, you'll be prepared. And who warned you? Old Sammy did. I warned you. Download those two things. Keep track. Watch your phones, for when you got to build a bunker. And then, the trouble is I'll start building the bunker while the lava's rolling toward me. That's no good. You should have the bunker already in place, people, with your supplies of MREs, meals ready to eat, that are packed in there. I have some that after Ian, the hurricane down Florida, somebody left at my house a box of MREs. So the government was mailing them all around. They're mailing all these boxes of MREs around. I've got a crate. One of them, I don't know, Menards, Home Depot tubs, that are black with the yellow lid or black with a red lid, whatever. And I got one full of MREs. There's my survival gear. And everybody says I need to buy a gun, but so far I haven't. For when everybody comes to steal my survival box of food, we're going to have that. My sister's got all kinds of stuff in her garage. If she's listening, so you should probably call me. My brother cans food. And he's always canning stuff, and it's like, Jesus, when are you going to eat this stuff? Quit canning it and eat it. These are fresh vegetables and fruits. I'm a fresh fruit type of guy, but earthquakes aren't really rare. So the unimportant part is that probably. If I told you once, I told you 1,000 times, never to exaggerate. And I'm probably exaggerating, tiniest of bits. But Yellowstone is listed by the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory at normal. First thing I did, check on that, make sure the Yellowstone's not going. And has a green aviation color code, which means you can fly over it, right? So the update from June the 1st said Yellowstone, the caldera activity is at background level, 45 located earthquakes in May. The largest was only in the scale of 2.0. So we can talk about Yellowstone as the American doomsday threat that'll take out 500 miles around it and puts us right on the edge. Great. Thanks a lot. But the factual line should be for us that perhaps, several generations from now, but there's no current official sign. Yeah, official. They're all hiding themselves in the bunkers and leaving us to fry. That Yellowstone is moving toward eruption. Missouri's pretty far from Yellowstone, but not beyond consequences in a super eruption scenario. Historic Yellowstone ash beds, by the way, reached across the continent, and regional ashfall models are exactly why Yellowstone is terrifying to some of us, but according to the USGS, there's a government organization that we should all trust, right? Status is normal, situation normal, everything under control, nothing to see here, sir. Yes, thank you. Move along. Go die in peace. We're going to the bunker. So Yellowstone is a great anxiety button for Merca and for Sam. And there it sits. 100,000 years, sitting there quietly, doing nothing. Every time the earth shakes somewhere else, we all ask the forbidden question. Are we supposed to be focused on our death? Is this a prelude? Is it coming? Yeah, people thought that when Mount St. Helens went off. Remember that? Mm-hmm. I was at the volcanoes on the Big Island in Hawaii, And I stayed on the Big Island the whole time, although most people prefer to go to Honolulu or Oahu or one of the other places and hit all the beaches and stuff like that. And we flew from the Big Island to Honolulu one day and did the Elvis tour, wandered around that place, check things out. And it was pretty cool, but very crowded. And I didn't really care for it. But I went back to I was only there one day. But I went back to the Big Island and spent a week on the Big Island chasing volcanoes. And there's the island's not very big. I mean, I don't remember specifically, but I don't think it's any larger than a place like Bermuda. 22, 23 miles across. I don't remember, but I don't remember. I know we drove it, several times, and we went from one end to the other. Checking out the volcanoes and the cool tropical stuff, and took a helicopter flight over them to the extent that you could, but you couldn't because those you could not fly over because they were active. And so I very much, we rented a car, drove all over. There's tea plantations, coffee plantations, whatever alcohol they made over there, I can't remember. And they had a very nice little, not crowded restaurants. You want a tourism spot, that was beautiful. And we got a place for, my standard is I get a 3-bedroom condo with 2 baths. And, even if there's only 2 of us going, you get it in, you can rent these places on Airbnb style sort of things. And I've been doing that for years because I like to travel that way. And but it was well worth the tour. But as a doomsday story from Samuel for today, civilization is built on the assumption that we're still going to be here tomorrow. And if all these damn things go off, we'll be recreating a new, wonder what happened. Doomsday. And we're all focused on doomsday. All the movies are doomsday. Everything's doomsday these days. And, we got war, rumors of war, gnashing of teeth, weeping and wailing. What was that? I said it yesterday, I think. Cats and dogs living together. There's all kinds of troubles going on in the world. But that is it. So the second thing I wanted to play for you because do you guys, we have any Jethro Tull fans out there? So my oldest brother, Clifford Michael III Trapp, he passed away several years ago at the age of 64. He was my oldest brother, and depressing. And one of the smartest people on the damn planet. He's one of those guys that walk around and bump into walls. He was so smart, you know what I mean? And but he was extremely interesting. And he passed away during COVID. And that's so it's about a five years that he's been gone. And he when we were kids, he's about 9-10 years older than me, I think. And he was a huge flute player, and I remember him, playing the flute when we were kids, and he would play Jethro Tull all the time. Hang on, we're gonna have to take this. Hello, caller. What do you have to say for yourself this morning?
Morning, Sam.
Guten Morgen.
Доброе утро.
Доброе утро. Как дела? Все нормально у нас здесь в Миссури.
Хорошо, спасибо. Нет. So, I only have a minute. Yes, I heard you. Of course I would call in. You issued a challenge, I believe. But
did I? I've spoken since then. What happened? Are you dying? Is the world going? What's happening?
Well, you've already told us the major events. Yes, we're on our way out as we speak. And of course, I being closer to Yellowstone than you, I'll probably go first. So I'll issue this warning. It's not going to do you any good to have a bunker because you're going to be covered by millions of tons of hot lava.
No, but so I'm far enough away. I'll get his ash.
Oh, no.
What if I go to Florida? No. Is that going to help me at all?
if the big one goes off, we're all screwed.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I have those doomsday things that I downloaded years ago, and I still watch them. Some kind of death series on natural events, and I have like 30 or 40 of these on my Apple iTunes, and every once in a while I'll go back through the threat matrices and go, you could die by a bug swarm, and they have this bug swarm show that goes on for an hour, and you go, my God, we're gonna die of bugs. This is crap. And
yes, but the good news is,
what's the
is
good
that
news?
if the big one goes off up in Yellowstone, you don't have to worry about being prepared anymore.
We'd no longer have to worry about having a two-party system, would we?
What two-party system?
Democrats, Republicans.
That's a one-party system.
Well, yeah, but we call it a two-party system, but we wouldn't have to worry about whether it's one or two. That would be gone.
But that's in name only. It's like calling a 50-cent piece a $50. It's still the same.
True dat.
So,
well, are you going to try to? I know what you're doing. You're trying to come and share my meals ready to eat. I got a box of like 12 of them, and that'll last me 12 days.
I think I'll pass on those. I've got to step up from that. I've got all my garden stuff that I can, just like David.
Yeah.
But I also have 4 Patriots in a real emergency if I'm really starving. Then I can have the 4 Patriots freeze-dried.
How do you have missiles in your house? Patriot missiles? What are you worried about? The big one coming?
No, 4 Patriot food supply. The commercials.
Oh, you're purchasing people's stuff. And what do you get there? Is that like some big crate? No, let's advertise for them. Is it worthwhile?
Yeah, you get it. Well, I don't know how.
What's it do for your water? What do you got to do?
You have to add water to all of it. That's why I like my homemade can, because you can have all your vegetables that are already in water because you canned them.
And then you have some salty water to add everything to.
Well, along the lines of being prepared, the LDS Church put out 10 million pounds of, I'm sure you've seen that all over YouTube. The sad truth about that is that's what
10 million pounds of what? What are they doing?
A food that they send to food banks all over the U.S.
They just send away food?
No, yeah, they send it all to food banks.
Why aren't they sending it to me? That's some crap. They send it out to these food banks. I don't want to go to food bank. Well, they should just mail it to my house.
Well, they probably could. They do have an online store,
I see. You know what I was doing yesterday? I was using AI. It's a damn good thing that somebody we know educated me that AI actually exists. I mean,
our own family member that's on the cutting edge of
he knows everything about AI. If you had any questions,
state of the art.
Indeed, you must. The fact that I didn't even know how to spell AI. And look at me now. Yeah. I used it last night to go back, and I was just curious because I wanted to do my own form of genealogy, right? And
speaking of which,
you can go on AI. And so Lana, a couple of years ago, I may have told you this. She got her DNA done, and when we went to Russia. And she said, so she's Tatar, first of all, but she has stuff that came from Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. It puts every part of her European heritage together and where she came from and all that. And then it gives you a list of your living current relatives. And she was sitting there, and I was like, what are you doing? And she starts communicating with these people all over the world. She's getting invited to people's houses. She's in Egypt right now, as you know, and she's getting invited to people's houses. We went to Moscow, and while we were in the train station in Moscow, going to take a trip off somewhere, and we were going to be there 4 or 5 hours waiting for the leg to take us to the next spot. And one of her relatives who showed up brought her gifts. Broader stuff. I mean, they acted like they'd known each other for years, and they get together. We went into the restaurant next door. I bought the woman lunch, and we just sat. I mean, what a great way to meet people. And she's meeting family all over the world. She's got like a list of like 200 relatives that are currently living, and she's just going down the list and picking them out and just calling them out of the blue. And that gives you their contact. It's friggin' nuts.
Yes, 1,200 relatives recently uploaded their information. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth cousins. Do you know who is in the list of our famous ancestors? The King of Portugal.
It's me.
The King of Wales.
I am the most famous. Didn't you realize?
Queen Elizabeth. John Wayne.
Me, great me. Me, great
I will
me.
send you the link because Ancestry.com, we just found it over the weekend, and we are related to presidents, probably about 20-something presidents.
Well, I'm supposed to be the next one, but so far it's not going very well. You know, I had a deadline. Yeah, I had a deadline for when it was going to happen, but so far I got nothing.
Yeah, no one else got the memo on that.
Nah, but what I thought I would do last night, I started. I said, I'm going to go backward, and I went backward all the way to Peter something Trapp, who was born in Reading, Ohio.
It was actually Peter von Trapp.
Well, I don't know about that, but because I haven't found that part yet.
Peter Trapp in the 1800s.
1817, born in Cincinnati, Reading, Ohio.
45. Yeah, that's Peter Trapp. Yeah.
Yep, and he was 1817 in Reading. Now, I'm on a mission here because I want to put together father to son to give to my own kids, right? And go back and find out where these a-holes came from. And so far, we're all in. And I know Mom's got most of this stuff, but I feel like
actually I have it.
Well, cool. Then you should give it to me. But I feel like I want to do it myself anyway, because when I find out who came over first, I'm going to go over to Germany, Austria, or wherever and go to the church where they're done and find their records in there. And I want to do it in person. That's what I want to do.
A couple of those have burnt down. Even prior to World War II. However, I have a lot of interesting material, and I will send you the link.
Well, cool. Let us chat about that later. I actually have two other topics I need to speak about. I very much appreciate you calling in.
Get to it.
And I have to. I was just talking about Jethro Tull and our dearly departed and esteemed oldest brother Clifford Michael the Third.
Him on occasion.
And his.
He's a flat earther, right?
Yeah, I know, and he was, and his. Well, I don't blame him. I think the world's flat too. Yeah, and
I've been leaning in that direction, but I want to know.
He knew stuff.
Why don't you talk about what's going on in Antarctica?
He knew that stuff. I don't know enough about that, but I'm going there. So Lana and I were supposed to take a cruise down there. So you go down to something de Fuega or something, Isles de Fuega, and you can take a cruise and go to Antarctica. And,
yes, it's true. We've actually looked into that.
Yeah. We looked into it too. And I was like, you know what I'd rather do? I'd rather pay. You can spend, get this, $16,000 and take a 6-month world cruise.
Wow.
For $16,000. Now think about that. 6 months. That's $2,000 a month. You can't live on that in paying for freaking mid-Missouri, for God's sake.
Yep, you can't do it.
16 grand. So no wonder. I have an acquaintance, a guy who.
There are actual people that actually do live on cruise ships.
This guy lives 3 weeks out of 4 at least on the cruise ship, and they pay him to gamble, and so he goes and he plays. Texas Hold'em, and plays in boat tournaments. Gets on a different boat every week, and he's not like. If he plays more, he can get up to the top, but he could stay for free. Just go gamble. I think I'm changing my evil ways. And if you have internet, geez, you can work from anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. And most people do anymore.
And I'm going to get eaten by a shark anyway, so I might as well get on a ship. And
did you notice shark attacks are up as well? So they must know something.
Oh, they know something. I'm telling you. And I'm anti-shark still. But I have a shark suit, and I won't even get in the ocean. And I still have a shark suit.
When we went to Maui, I stayed on the beach while Matthew swam. And Matthew said, "What are you doing over there? Come in the water." I said, He said, "Come on, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm just looking for all the shark attacks on Maui."
Yeah. Do you know what you know what caused this for us? I'll tell you what. It's
Jaws.
being at it's Jaws, the
12.
freaking movie, at the drive-in, laying on
Yep,
top of
that's
our
exactly-
station wagons. You remember that? I was freaking
That's what I told
scared to
Matthew.
death, laying on top of the
I'll
freaking
never
car.
Get in the water.
Well, I did.
Yep.
I've done it at the Great Barrier Reef, and I've done it in Grand Cayman and a couple other places. Oh, I did it in Bermuda during Hurricane Andrew. That was freaking crazy.
Nope. Yeah, I actually paddleboarded over a shark down in where was it? It was off of Baja.
I don't know, but I remain uninterested in being eaten by a shark while alive. I've instructed my children that when I kick the bucket, when I shuffle off the molten coil, when I join the bleeding choir invisible, then I wish to be baked in an oven, turned into ash, and distributed to the sharks. You can go out in your little paddle boat, get on a paddle board, go out. You don't have to go too far. Just don't get your own leg eaten off in the meantime, and just deposit me there.
To be my ashes all over Montana so the wolves can get me and the bears.
Well, I'm anti that
Because
too.
I don't want them to get me while I'm alive. That's just too icky.
No wonder I have paranoia issues. Anyway, I'm going to get back to Jethro Tull, and I'm going to play him. And it's a good thing I figured out how to spell AI. If I learned since I suddenly learned how to spell.
We can thank our younger brother for that, and our older brother
for being a
Jethro
genius.
Tull.
He was a bit weird, but he was a genius.
Yeah, it was very strange.
Very, very cool. At any rate, I went and saw. Well, I shall let you go. How about that?
Okay.
Have a good day. See you.
All right.
And there she goes. Well, that was nice. My leg hasn't been eaten by a shark yet, and I've had 3 opportunities, and so far not. I'm doing pretty well. But my brother was a huge Jethro Tull fan. And I remember him playing his guitar, dancing around the room and doing stuff like that. He gave me my love of Jethro Tull. When several years ago, my children got me for my birthday a concert tickets for 2. And I took some little country western girl. It was pretty funny. Took a country western girl to the Fox Theater in St. Louis. Very nice. I like to go there around Christmas time. I'm going to look, I like to go see Christmas Carol and get all dressed up and go down there and have dinner on the hill, stuff like that. That's a fun Christmas event. And then I also like to go spend the weekend and one day do the Botanical Garden Christmas deal and whatnot. That's kind of fun too. And wander around, get a spicy eggnog and glühwein and drinking your glühwein. I love that stuff. And anyway, I've been to the Fox Theater quite a few times, generally at Christmas time. But this was the Jethro Tull 50th anniversary concert. Dude was in his 70s, I want to say 75 when he was playing, and it was good stuff. Well, for our break today, we're going to take a tiny bit of a break, and there's an appropriate Jethro Tull song that's titled Pibroch, Pibroch, and this, I believe, came from the Songs from the Wood album. It's possible, but he played it at every one, and he would pronounce it a little bit differently than they would call it. And my brother explained it to me because I just didn't know the history of Jethro Tull. And of course he did, and could play every bit of flute on every song that was Jethro Tull, and he did it very, very well. And he could even do the dancing around like some sprite and do that, which he often did. Those are the things I remember the most about my brother, who was quite a bit older than me, from when I was a little kid, and I just used to love to watch it and to listen to it. And but he was always a bit on the odd side. And he taught me that the song, which is Pibroch, cap in hand, spelled Pibroch, is actually announced or pronounced Pibroch, because they take it for the pee break. It's a song that allows them all to go and take their pee break in the middle of the concert. And so that is how they play it. And we're going to do something similar right here. But I have a coffee fix I'm going to go take care of during our pee break. Pee break, cap in hand, 2003 remastered version here for you at International Flavor. If I can ever get it to pull up appropriately and not be a crappy version. We want it all to be just perfect for us.
In the woods, in the valley, there's a thought in the head of a man who carries his dreams like the curd slung on his shoulder. And each step he takes is one half of a lifetime. No word he would say, but you understand. So he bundles his regrets into a gesture of sorrow, of bringing you love, cap in hand. the dining room window. Candlelit table for two has been laid. Strange flavors by the fire. Strange boots in the hallway. Put my cap on my head. I turn and walk away.
And there it went. So that was Jethro Tull, of course, the great, the fabulous Jethro Tull. And the song was Pibroch, cap in hand. Put my cap on my head, I turn and walk away. Strange, strange boots by the fire. That cause you to walk away too. Everybody needs a good pee break then, don't they? Yep, when that occurs, you definitely need a pee break. Pee break brought to you by me and by Damn Radio. There it is. Let's see. Now let us begin in the middle, because we already began at the beginning. And I actually watched a Medvedev. And I like watching Medvedev. He's a great guy. And Dmitry, he's pretty damn... he's a pretty blunt dude, and I like. He was president one term. Let's see, was it so Putin was president for like from 2000 to 2005, and then Medvedev was president for a term, and Putin's been one ever since. And if you think you're getting somebody better when you take the younger Medvedev, who has every likelihood of being the next one. I suppose that's perhaps you should get to know him, because if you think things are going to change, forget it. If you think, and by the way, no matter who it is, Russia is Russia, and the government is one thing, the people are another, and the government is going to continue, just much like Iran has continued. See that during Pibroch, I was able to go and brew myself a fresh coffee from the old Keurig machine, throw a couple of fake creamers in there, and there you go. Medvedev is a useful guy to listen to, though, because he removes diplomacy. Lavrov is illegal. The one we followed him yesterday. He talks about things from a diplomatic and from a legal perspective. Medvedev is nice to watch because he's like a battering ram. He's just somebody that tells you the warnings, tells you, well, fine, quit being a-holes and you wouldn't have to do this. So Medvedev is deliberately, in my opinion, inflammatory. His rhetoric is often designed to pressure Western people like me, the public, rather than describe actual Russian decision-making processes. Those decisions are made slowly, deliberately, with the Lavrovs and Putins of the world. They don't act quickly. They just don't. And so Western policy repeatedly goes in the wrong direction, and in a direction that creates an enemy that doesn't exist in Russia. Now, I believe this too, from a personal, from a political, from an individual level. When you go to Russia, the people are fantastic. They don't have any horror. They don't hate America. They wonder why we hate them. But and they wonder why everybody hates them. They shouldn't. We should envy them. They've got a great country, great clean cities. It's a very good country, and they're I don't know. They have. Everybody has their issues, you know what I mean? Everybody does. You know, if you found Mr. Perfection, he's actually my brother. It's not me, you know. There's only one perfect person on the planet. He actually speaks to God, apparently, and God speaks back. That's the scary part. He's only talking to my brother. This is loony. And at any rate, all the perfect people are dead ages and ages ago. You know, biblical times, those good ones are done. And the fact is, there's only one perfect soul left on the planet, and he happens to be related to me. But everybody has their problems. Western policy continually is against Russia. And that's basically, he was reiterating a lot of the same things that Lavrov said in his speeches yesterday, both about what do you call it? His approach to things in Belarus, his approach to things in Ukraine. It's interesting because the world is waking up to this. There's a story that came out yesterday about Russia and ASEAN countries should deepen cooperation, especially amid U.S. sanctions. And this came from Indonesia, from an Indonesian professor who wrote this article. And it's if we don't start paying attention to other sections of the world that get to talk, I think we are in danger of being somewhat left behind. I know several people who believe that the finances of the United States are collapsing. And I've spoken to a couple of, and I mean seriously collapsing even as we speak, that the 40 trillion is actually a bridge too far. You can't, and I've been thinking about this for a while, but I've always thought that, well, okay, debt is an important thing, and our GDP isn't even $40 trillion a year. You know what I mean? It's nonsense. Our debt is larger than our GDP. It's the interest. You can't pay it. This is unsustainable. And people really are bailing from buying more U.S. debt. Somebody needed to stop us ages ago, and they never did. They never did. And our politicians just keep on trucking with it. And so other countries are seeking alternatives. BRICS, ASEAN, and others. You know, Moscow says Southeast Asia, the Southeast Asian nations, Association of Southeast Asian Nations is what that means, by the way. And this Indonesian professor is like, you know, we're the fastest growing place on the planet. And that's true. And I'm not quite sure how. The fact is, the world's changed no matter how you look at it. The world is changing, and AI is changing it even faster. And so there's all kinds of, nobody wants their eggs in one basket anymore. And then you see what's going on with Trump and company doing what he thinks is a smart thing to do, seize all the means of production, especially of energy and oil and AI. And but it's not going as planned, unfortunately. And so there's much to talk about. I'm going to suggest that you have a look at this article if you can. This article came out. It's called "Russia and ASEAN Should Deepen Cooperation." The what's the professor's name? He is Tiku Reza Shah. He argues that many of the group's members are questioning Washington and its ability to support regional growth. And they've maintained ties in those areas: Russia, China, India, the other ASEAN countries, Iran, Afghanistan, all of those places over there, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, all of them. They are all part of this association, and they're all growing quickly, astronomically, and not controlled by the United States. And the fact that now 96% or more of the trade between Russia and China is done in the yuan or the ruble, and some 50, it's a large percent. I don't think it's quite 50 just yet, but the trade between India and Russia is going on in the rupee and the ruble is also a huge deal. And I think I'd like to share this story. It was published today. It's this professor, spell his name, Rezasyah is how you spell his name. And there's plenty more to go through today, and so I wanted to kind of speed up a little. But that talks about, especially amid the sanctions, because that's how you eliminate the effect of the sanctions, is you work outside of the sanction system. It's happening anyway. It's coming. Russia, Iran, others, Venezuela, have been doing it forever already. And, the globalists still think they're in charge. But let's talk about speaking of globalists, let's go to von der Leyen. Here's your globalist. She's unelected, okay? Let's talk about this. She's being investigated now over her secret group chat with Zelensky, okay? The communications include Chancellor Merz, French President Macron, Italian PM Maloney, and the outgoing UK Prime Minister Starmer. An EU watchdog is investigating European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen over a secret group chat with Zelensky and several other European leaders, according to the Dutch outlet called Follow the Money, FTM. That's a pretty cool website, by the way. The probe follows a complaint by FTM after the European Commission refused to release messages from a private group chat, reportedly including Chancellor Friedrich Merz, French President Emmanuel Macron, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who wanted a photo with Trump. Please take a selfie with me, Mr. Trump, allegedly. And Keir Starmer, outgoing genius of Great Britain. What's Alex Christopher will call him? 008. He's 008. The commission reportedly argued that disclosure of these texts could harm the EU's relations with third countries. Wonder if they're talking about the old Trumpster. In a letter sent to the commission last week and cited by the outlet on Wednesday, European Ombudsman Teresa Angino reported that she had opened an inquiry into the refusal to grant access to the communication. Angino said the probe would examine whether the commission complied with EU transparency rules when it rejected the request. She also asked to meet commission representatives by mid-July, said FTM. The group chat, dubbed the Washington Group, was first reported on by Politico in January, citing people familiar with the matter. Oh, that's always a good one. People familiar with the matter. Well, I'm familiar with the matter. This is nonsense. You going to have me telling you about it? Politico wrote at the time that participants had spent the previous year exchanging messages whenever President Trump did what they viewed as something wild and potentially damaging. According to media reports, the group was originally set up in response to the Ukraine conflict. There's a surprise. The reported inquiry is the latest in a series of controversies involving von der Leyen and the Commission's handling of official records. Last year, the EU's General Court ruled that the Commission had improperly handled a request by the New York Times seeking access to text messages exchanged between von der Leyen and Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla during negotiations over the bloc's COVID-19 vaccine contracts. The commission later pledged to review its record-keeping practices. Oh, really? Earlier this month, Angino criticized the deletion of a text message sent by Macron regarding the EU's proposed trade agreement with South America's Mercosur bloc. The commission declined to release the message in response to a Freedom of Information request, saying it had been auto-deleted. Following a complaint by FTM, Follow the Money, the ombudsman concluded the message had been deleted unlawfully and called on the commission to improve the preservation and archiving of official communications, including text messages. Jeez. They're hiding stuff, people. They're hiding stuff from us. Oh, no. Sluggo, what are we going to do? Oh, boy. Germany, meanwhile, has... Did they sank it or they sunk it? It has been sunk. It has... The project is sunk. But the way they say it, Germany sinks von der Leyen's $18 billion pet warship project. Is that warship or warship? The procurement of 6 F-126 warships was terminated due to significant delay and enormous cost increase, said the Defense Ministry. Germany has pulled the plug on its largest naval shipbuilding project since the end of World War II. Militarization of Germany proceeds at a record pace, says Samuel. But the largest project since the end of World War II scrapped plans for a fleet of 6 F-126 frigates, first ordered under then Defense Minister of Germany, Ursula von der Leyen. The plans to axe the project were first reported by Der Spiegel on Tuesday, which said the program had long been plagued by numerous issues, kind of like high-speed rail in California. Curious. The government's doing it, therefore you know it's cocked up, right? The ministry confirmed the move the next day, saying it was due to significant delay, enormous cost increase, and incalculable risk. Risk can always be calculated. I usually turn off the phone, but I have people phoning me. But I'm doing a program. We cannot speak to them whilst we are... They can call in on the show. How about them apples, friends and neighbors? It is also completing 6 F-126s that it notes that these would have driven the total cost above the $18 billion set aside for it to $20.3 billion compared to the initial estimate of $5.27 billion for 4 such vessels. This is criminal. It's like, how do these people get away with it? Oh, it's just a budget overrun. Give us another several billion. You know, Trump's asking for 88 billion. There's another huge billions they need for war in Iran. Isn't that crazy? Launched in 2020 under von der Leyen, the F-126 program was the largest warship project in modern German Navy history, displacing 10,500 tons and stretching 166 meters, big enough to stay at sea for 2 years. The vessel was designed to be highly versatile, capable of roles ranging from submarine hunting to supporting special forces and drone operations. The contract was initially awarded to the Dutch Dammenschild Naval Shipping Yard, but the project quickly stalled as the company struggled to transfer ship design data to the production system used by the German shipyards and suppliers due to incompatible software. You don't check that shit out first, you bunch of loonies. Costs already started ballooning, which they do in government projects, as early as 2019, even before the contract went to DSNS, with then left party MP Matthias Hohn calling the project a money pit. You ever seen that movie? Tom Hanks, Money Pit, and what's her name? Shelley something. Around the same time, the ministry's tendering process drew its own controversy. Oh my God. Their funding, their tender process was flawed. Von der Leyen's office came under accusation of tolerating nepotism, cronyism. You always have to throw in rascalism if you have seen Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? When you hear words like that, cronyism, giving lucrative, largely uncompetitive contracts to the McKinsey consultancy. Critics point to the fact that Katrin Suder, then State Secretary of the Defense Ministry, was herself a veteran McKinsey employee. A later federal audit found that in most cases the ministry failed to justify why external consultants were even necessary. That's what you do. You just call it a consulting fee, throw yourself a consultant in there, pay him $1 billion, and suddenly your project gets to go underwater. But the consultant ends up wealthy and he passes the money back to you. That's how it works. The termination of the project is a severe blow to Rheinmetall, with shares plunging 17% in the stock's worst single-day fall in years. Time to put money into it now, right? The first 4 frigates would have cost around $6.3 billion, with an option on 4 more, around $5.3 billion, if exercised by the end of 2026, pending approval from the Bundestag's Budget Committee. The termination of the controversial project comes as Germany carries out its largest militarization campaign in decades, with the 2026 defense budget at €108 billion. Germany and other nations have cited the supposed Russian threat to justify this buildup. Moscow dismisses this speculation that it plans to attack NATO as nonsense. You know the word for nonsense, po-ruski? It is chepucha. Chepucha is nonsense. Nonsense. Oh, chepucha. Nonsense. Вот. There you go. Anyway, that was a fun little story with Ursula von der Leyen taking a beating yet again. Poor her. You know, why do people attack her so much? Well, I don't know. Maybe it's because she's an unelected empress. She has created herself as the empress of the EU. She is in charge by God, and don't you forget about it. Don't you forget about me. I had one more story. This one's a little more local. U.S., you know, what? Here we are, an international flavor. I give you an international perspective. But there's I'm watching this unfold on our news channels and places like that there was a new housing bill that has been passed by the legislature, and Trump put off signing it. And it'd be interesting to know why. But I have a hard time because half the time I think he's making it up as he goes along, and it's whatever. He doesn't make any decision until he makes the decision. There's no planning involved, in my opinion. It's just whatever floats his boat on that particular day. And there's flexibility in that. That's an entrepreneurial spirit. So I don't claim it is always a bad thing, but in politics it might be. I think that 4 years isn't long enough to get an agenda done anyway in America. 8 years is rarely enough. And that a president's term should be longer than 4 years. Now, you could argue that you need that flexibility on the executive branches, but it doesn't change the GS level employees that all sit there and bake their entire career there that really run the government. Okay, same thing in Missouri, by the way. And we'll talk about some of that tomorrow on Civic Outlaws. Got a hopefully some interesting news, and it should be going in today. But I've been impatient about it, and I've been watching it for like a week now, and I've got 2 weeks for months actually. But you know how you're at the end and you want to push it over the cliff and go, okay, now it's gone. Well, we've been on that brink for just a little while, and so anyway, we're going to talk about that. But there was a U.S. housing bill. Is called the 21st Century Road to Housing Act. Official Senate information says the Senate passed it by 85-5 and describes it as a major housing affordability package aimed at expanding the supply, cutting red tape, protecting taxpayers, and empowering local communities to build more homes. The House Financial Services Committee described the bill as bipartisan and reported an earlier House passage by 396-13. So these are extremely popular among the reps and senators. I mean, that number just in itself, getting them to agree on anything is crazy. And that's why you should be suspicious. If they all want it, that means the scam pays off for everybody. They all get their money. Somehow everybody's making out like a fat cat, except, I would assume, the middle class and those of us who actually are affected by all these laws. Somebody's getting rich somewhere, and it appears that everybody's getting rich somewhere if you're the cynical cuss that I am. And so that's what I believe, is that there's something crazy. So the political drama is that this morning, Trump canceled or delayed the signing the bill because he wants movement first on his Save America Act, a voter ID proof of citizenship election bill. Now, frankly, I can't imagine why we've not had that anyway. You have to have a real ID to travel somewhere, right? You don't have to. There are exceptions. I get that. You don't need to call and chew me out over that. But you're supposed, if you've seen your new passport, you ought to see the damn thing. The page where they put your chip in, they're tracking your passport. If they aren't tracking you, that thing, the brand new one I just got, of course, it's in the hands of the Russians right now. They still haven't gotten it back. They say I'll have it by the end of the month, but man, I've got. I need to make some plans here, and I'm still missing my visa for Russia, Mother Russia, and but I should have. They say everything is in the works, and it should be just fine. But this citizenship bill is important. Axios, New York Post, Times of India, and others are reporting the same standoff. Rare bipartisan housing legislation is being held up by Trump over an unrelated voting bill. And, I think that's interesting, and I'm not saying I'm necessarily against it, but we shall see. Hello, caller. What may I do for you this morning? Something's going on again. That's not going to work. You're going to have to fix whatever it is you got going on and call back or go to a different phone line because just ain't working. At any rate, there you have it. So what the bill does, allegedly, says it does, and I haven't downloaded the whole thing yet, and what's the beautiful part of AI anymore, if you haven't started using it? You can use it to take massive quantities of data and assess it for you, or give you a quick rundown of what it really is. And I haven't taken in the whole bill yet. And I want to because, I'm a real estate broker in Florida and in Missouri, and I do a lot of the business sorts of things and discuss people on their business and commercial sorts of property or investment property, stuff like that. And so by the way, CE, continuing education, you got to do so many hours a year, and mine rotate. So every 2 years you have to do however many hours you got to do. And it's pretty cool because my Florida ones are due in odd years and my Missouri ones are due in even years. Happens to be an even year. And so I have one more class to do, and I was going to do it last night, and I got started on it, and then cat distracted me, and so I used it as an excuse to not do it. So here I am, last minute, got another class to do. But this housing bill is part of that. Well, not part of the new stuff because it hasn't been passed yet, but I certainly want to know because anybody with real estate should definitely know what it does anyway. What it reportedly does is it's a broad housing affordability reform package. And the major themes of it are to expand the housing supply, to ease the regulatory barriers to building houses, to improve access to mortgage and community bank lending, to limit institutional private equity acquisition of single-family homes. Now that I want to research more. On its face, it sounds positive, because what they're trying to do is allow children, like my children are children, but my daughter's 41, I think, and then we keep on going down the line. I got a son who's 26, and they buying a house for them isn't like it was when I was a kid. It was different. I bought my first house when I got out of the military in Dallas, and a suburb of Dallas called Cedar Hill. And it was a pretty a pretty simple process. Of course, I'm a veteran, I had a VA process to go through. It might have made it easier for it. But if you don't have eligibility for any of those things, buying a house today and getting notes today and the way people make money is different and the way they get paid is different. And a lot of people work for themselves and they can never get, they can't show the income necessary to buy a house, or they don't have enough to put something down. So if you can limit the institutional and private equity acquisition of single family homes, I'm not, as a principle, against it immediately. But I don't want to see those places where they come in and they build cookie cutter houses that go on for miles and all look the same, and they're packed together. You look out your window and into the bedroom of your neighbor. It's nonsense. And there ought to be certain rules that go along. Anyway, I'm very interested in finding out what this does, but I'm more interested in the jockeying for position that's going on. So the other part of the bill, it reforms or extends certain federal housing and disaster recovery programs. Well, this is where they hide money, and that's why all these people are for it, would be my initial cynical take of it. And I'm not saying I'm against it. We don't have any control over any of this stuff anyway. Those guys will, you might think you do, but you don't. You don't control any of this. It is done by people way out of your league, and saying things doesn't necessarily, well, very rarely help. Okay? So, but the real political story is that Trump had a bipartisan win, and he's got it. And instead of taking that win, he wants to use that win for his constant art of the deal. Well, strategically, frankly, I'm not against that. If I think if he wants this voter ID, whether you support it or not, the strategic question for Trump is, does linking an unrelated bill make him look strong? Or does it make him look unserious about passing the law? Well, I have a mixed opinion about that. I think, but it's because, in part of it, that I support a voter ID and always have. I think it's a ludicrous and idiotic argument to claim, oh, gee, those inner city poor folk, the brown people, can't afford a $10 ID. They have ID. They got to open a bank account, for God's sake. Even the lowest of low earning potential have to show an ID to get into places. You know how you get, okay, they have to show ID to buy their alcohol. If they, you're saying that they don't, if you believe what you believe about the inner city, you think they don't drink there and they can't afford it. So, oh, geez, we can't require them to provide. It's the biggest scam going on forever, and all of us know it. The Democrats know it too. They just sell it to you in the way of saying it's disadvantageous to people of color, and they can't let people. What it really means is people who aren't allowed to vote cannot vote. And what about a national election registry? What about that? Hell, they're going to start tracking you on your phone anyway. They're already trying to get Android and Apple, which they already do, to have you log into their phone, and then they know exactly where you are. So it's not really going to save you much anyway if you still have a phone. Unless you go buy a Huawei, which I've owned one, and I'm thinking of buying another one. But the Android update, that doesn't matter. Old story. But think about this. Let's be a skeptic for a minute. Housing really is a crisis, okay, for younger people especially. If Congress actually passed a bipartisan bill, one of very, very few in recent years, holding that bill hostage for a unrelated voter ID demand might look a little bit reckless or a performance. It's a show. But what else do you expect from Trump? He's a showman. And, he's the greatest show on earth. And he doesn't even have to have a flying trapeze. But Trump believes election integrity is a foundation. Frankly, if you believe in democracy, it should be a foundation. But he could see the Save America Act as more important than an ordinary domestic housing bill. It'll take a while for that bill to take effect anyway, or to assist the people that actually need it, if it's really for that and not for screwing them further and passing out money to the rich in another form, which is constant anyway. So if you take that point of view, using this as leverage, it doesn't create chaos. It's playing hardball. And if you believe that Trump is the art of the deal master, well, it's not a bad position to take. Taking a position when you have them with something they want, why not hold it over their head? I'm not saying I would do it, but it's not unreasonable to take that position. A lot of lawyers play that way, for sure. So the political mismatch is this. A lot of voters understand housing costs immediately, and fights over voter ID are far more ideological and a split down the middle. Everybody gets housing cost. It's like the cost at the pump for your gasoline. Everybody gets that. And that's why if Trump doesn't solve or figure out something about the war he and Netanyahu started in Iran, that it's such a pain for the rest of us, because Jesus, back in February, we were paying $2.50 a gallon for gas, and so people understand housing and not being able to get a home. Trust me, they get that. Where voter ID, they might not give a crap, because you can't change anything with your one little vote anyway, and many people believe that way. So delayed housing relief is going to be hard to defend to families that are priced out of homes or the ability to buy them. So Democrats are going to say he had a bipartisan win on a housing deal, and he turned it into another loyalty test, right? This is Trump 2.0. This is how he acts as president, especially in the second term. Anyway. So, I don't know. I haven't put too much thought process into there. It's, it's an interesting thought process. When it gets signed, we will certainly pay attention to it and keep track of this over the next little bit. I had, and it's toward the end of the show, and I'm going to play it because it's a very short song, anywho, and I wanted to play this for you because, and it basically is among my favorites, and I have, no, you know what, I'm not going to be able to play it. I can't find it quick enough, and we're going to try to find it, I suppose, and then play that one song for you. And it's pretty short. It's not even 3 minutes, and so we'll go ahead and play it and see what you get. It's a love song, and it's na ruskom, and so we're going to have fun with it just because it's my show and I can.
Когда весна придет, не знаю, пройдут дожди, сойдут снега, но ты мне улица родная, и в непогоду дорога. На этой улице подросткам гонял по крышам голубей, и здесь на этом перекрестке с любовью встретился своей. С любовью встретился своей. Теперь и сам не рад, что встретил, моя душа полна тобой, Зачем на белом свете есть безответная любовь? Я не хочу судьбу иную, мне ни на что не променять ту заводскую проходную, что в люди вывела меня. На свете много улиц славных, но не сменяю адрес я. В моей судьбе ты стала главной, родная улица моя. В моей судьбе ты стала главной, родная улица моя.
Когда весна придет, не знаю. I don't know when spring will be coming. A love song from a movie of the same name. And one of my favorites. We had a caller, but the noise is I don't know what's going on with his phone, but we got nothing. If you want to try again, please do, but I got nothing. And except some kind of a weird stuff in the background. And so whatever's happening. Try it again. There's only a few minutes left of the old program. Anywho, and but I will pick up and let you finish it out if you would like. Let's see here. There were a couple other interestings. There was a French teenager killed by a migrant gang, sparking national outrage. 5 suspects were tracked down after they filmed the attack. And the kid was fighting for his life for days. The brutal beating to death of a 17-year-old boy in France by a group of teenagers described as a migrant gang has sparked public outrage across country. The attack, which authorities have called an ambush, took place last Friday at a construction site in the southern city of Narbonne. All right, caller, let's try this one more time. You only got a few minutes.
That's okay. Can you hear me?
I can now, yes.
Awesome. What's the big deal about voter registration if there's minimal fraud and election fraud and Trump's got it in the bag anyways?
I don't think he's got it in the bag. I think he's in for a rude awakening come November. Is what I think. But I could be wrong. I don't follow that as much as I ought to. But I also don't spout off. That victory's here, victory's not. I have my own theory, and I just gave it to you. And I don't think he is seen as positively now as he was 2 years ago.
Exactly. A lot of voters didn't turn out because they were upset with Kamala about her pro-Israel stance.
Well, she wasn't. In my view, she was a non-choice. That was some. I can't imagine choosing that type of person, and I know that. I mean, I don't care. The fact that she's a woman doesn't bother me. The fact she's black doesn't bother me remotely. But the fact that she's not too bright. That bothers me.
Well,
and
how do you figure she's not too bright? Because Trump says it?
No, because I watch her and I followed her too. I take that choice pretty seriously, and I watch and I try to listen, put together something for me that makes me understand what you think you would do for the country. And she had nothing. Listen to her now, allegedly running in California. Go, just pull her up now. And if you can articulate a real plan for anything other than I'm a black lawyer woman, vote for me. That's all that. It's all that there is. And there was no no profile of hers that would be anything except I got the support of the Hollywood elite, I got the support of the Democratic elite, and all the elite support me because I'm pliable to them. I can be controlled by them. That's what I believe. I'll let you have the last word, but I only got a couple of minutes.
Only got a couple of minutes. Well, this it just seems like it's going to be a wash to me. There's not a wash. It's going to be they're going to get run over. There's no way that Trump is going to. People have caught him in his lies, and there's less people are just following him blindly, I think.
Well, the question is whether or not you feel positive about the direction we're going or negative. That's the usual, in my opinion, in a midterm. And I think most people see what's going on in a negative light.
Do you know what Rhino liner is, bed liner in a pickup truck?
I do. I have it in my pickup truck.
Does it stay on your pickup bed?
It did for pretty good. I put it on. It lasted about 5-6 years. I've given that truck to my son, and it still, for the most part, but on the tailgate, it chips off quite a bit.
What I'm getting at is nobody's buying his vandalism with the pool. The man will just stand up and outright lie, and he's still saying the Iran war was won the first week.
That's not a victory.
There's only a limited number of there's only a limited number of people that's gonna accept that kind of.
Well, it's a very limited number of people because the facts are against him.
Yeah, sure are, and it's funny to me that. JR has a positive spin every day.
Well, but JR's a positive dude, and I love JR, and I think he's very positive. But sadly, we have literally 20 seconds, and I got to close it out. So I appreciate you. Thanks for the call.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. And that is it for today on International Flavor. Thanks for joining us. Join us again tomorrow morning from 7 to 8:30 for Civic Outlaws. It's coming to you, hopefully, with some big news. Have a very great mid-Missouri day. See you tomorrow.